Hello everyone, this is B-Bell Dan, and yes, you are seeing that this is the D7 tutorial slash build through series that I was doing earlier, and I know those of y'all that have been following along are probably looking at this thinking, wait a minute, B-Bell Dan, I thought you said that there wasn't going to be any more of these episodes. And yes, you are right, I did indeed say that, but I said that for reasons, and those reasons have changed. But more on that later. I just want to go ahead and give you all a little confession that if it looks like, or actually sounds like, that what I am saying or what I'm describing is different from what I'm doing on the screen, or if you notice that looks like I'm working super fast here, no, I'm not working super fast, and yes, there is going to be discrepancies between what's going on screen and what I'm talking about because what you are hearing is actually recorded post video because I made the noob mistake of having my microphone muted when I was filming all of this, and I can't redo my work again, so I decided to go ahead and try to go ahead and record the narration post processing and put it back in. Now, I'm going to do the best I can to try to describe to you with what I'm doing on each one of these screens or what I'm doing on the screen. But at the same time, I also want to kind of take some time to, really kind of chat with you and let you know about what's all going on with this channel and what we got planned on in the future, and also explain why we have the D7 back up again. Uh, but if in case you're curious about what I'm doing right now on screen, is that I've decided for this particular episode I want to try to start consolidating the model down. I mean, when I built the model up, it was several different individual meshes, but now I'm wanting to kind of clean it up and consolidate them, such as for this front piece here, there's about 6 or 7 different meshes that make up this front piece of the D7. So I want to try to put that all together into one mesh, because if I make the decision, which I haven't decided yet, to UV map texture this, then it's going to be a lot easier to do that if it's all one mesh rather than it's several different meshes. And there are several different ways that I can do this. One way is that I can take each individual mesh and select them all, making sure that the mesh that I want to be the primary mesh being the last one I select, I can just select them all and do a Control J, which that would go ahead and put them all together. The issue with that is that if you go into edit mode, which you'll see here in maybe about another minute or so, as you can see right here, is that it keeps all of those vertices all within the same mesh. So you have a lot of overlapping and a lot of unnecessary vertices. I want to try to actually combine all of this together into one solid mesh and kind of start doing away with some of the individual meshes, which the way that you would do that would be to go ahead and use a Boolean modifier and go ahead and join them. The problem with the Boolean modifier is that on low poly meshes is, you see here, you don't quite get a good clean gap between, or not gap, but joint between the two meshes, because there's not a lot of vertices, not a lot of edges and faces to work with. So how you do that is that you can either just go in and just start adding in additional subdivision or different, do Control R and add in new edge loops or subdivide it. Another way you can go ahead and do that, that way you're not too dedicated, or if you need to increase and decrease, is to apply the subdivision modifier, which I'm doing right here on, I think I just did it, on both of the models that you're wanting to join together. And by doing that, you have a little bit more control on trying to get, I haven't applied that yet. I'm just kind of messing around with the new, adding in all the new different edges and moving stuff around. I think I'd do that here shortly after, I'd start doing that after this. But that's the way that I decided to go ahead and go and just apply that subdivision surface modifier on all the models that I'm going to be combining together, and then using the boolean modifier, but I don't apply that subdivision surface modifier just yet. I don't do that because I can still go in and change a couple of little factors, such as I can increase the amount of subdivision if I want. So yeah, so right here I'm just using the subdivision option on it, and it kind of gives you the look that you want, but you have more control if you use the subdivision modifier. But anyways, with that being said, as I'm doing that work that I just described on screen, the reason of about why, in just a little reminder why I said originally that you may not see this D7 project again, was because I had all of my files on an external hard drive. And at one point in time, I lost the USB cable that I used to connect that external hard drive to my laptop, and a bunch of, once again, Blender files was on it. The D7, the Akira, the Enterprise J, the not the Kelvin, but the what's that one from from Star Trek Beyond? The Franklin, yeah, the Franklin. All of those were on that. The Star Wars building scene was on that, and without that USB cable, and it wasn't a standard USB cable. It was a special. I'm not gonna say it's proprietary, but it was a special cable that I didn't have an extra of. So I decided that, well, okay, if I can't find it, I can't access it, well, there's not much I could probably do at this point, so I was going to put those on the back burner. But as you can see here, I have it because I actually found the USB cable. So now with that, I can now go ahead and start accessing those files again and resurrecting some of those series that I was never really finished, but not all of them. As of right now, the ones that I'm planning on resurrecting would be, of course, this D7. I think it's an interesting little project. I'm having actually quite a bit of fun trying to build the Klingon ship, so I'm going to continue with this. And the Akira class, I'm going to continue because I'm almost done with that, and I would hate to end that, so late into the game. But the Franklin, that is definitely going to be bye-bye for right now because of a different reason. And it was because of catastrophe, to where I recorded a video, did a whole bunch of work, saved the video, but forgot to save the file, the Blender file that I was working on. I get up to go get a drink of water. I come back, and the cat is on my laptop, and he knocked off the USB drive, or the external hard drive. He ended up causing Blender to close. I mean, he just, they just love to just kind of just start tapping on things, and in the process, he knocked stuff down. He ended up closing out Blender. So all that work that I did during that episode was lost. So rather than go back to the earliest version I had saved and trying to redo my steps up to the point of the last episode, I'm just going to just go ahead and just stop that. If I get a lot of people asking for it, I may just go ahead and redo another series, or I still have that last Blender file, so I may go ahead and try to push myself to go through that process of redoing all of my footsteps from the last episode so I can pick up from where I left off. But as of right now, that's by the wayside. The Star Wars building scene, I'm going to be doing that again, but it's going to be put on hold so I can try to finish up some other projects. And in regards to the Enterprise J, well, that I'm going to go ahead and stop that for now. And well, if you don't see what back to what I'm doing on screen. What I'm doing here is I've combined that other little piece with the new mesh that I just created, but because it's so blocky and square and limited, it was a little bit more difficult to try to get that to match up. And so I'm going to go back and probably try fixing that up a little bit later. Now what I'm doing here is I want to go through and all these little vent details, I'm wanting to go ahead and try to get those modeled in. But now, normally, if I wanted to keep this low poly, and I probably should have done it, or I could do it, should have done it, I don't know, is just have the vent textures being just that, just a texture. Just have it a flat piece of face and texture it later. But for the sake of this, I decided to go ahead and model it. But because it's going to take so many different more edges and vertices, and I don't want those edges and vertices to carry into the model, I'm actually going to separate the faces where the vents are going to be at and model those as a separate mesh that's going to have a much more high poly count. So yeah, I'm drawing it out, separating it by selecting it and do a Control P to separate that selection, and then we'll go ahead and model it. But yeah, back to the Enterprise J. The Enterprise J project, I'm not going to finish what I have, but instead I'm going to eventually down the line in the future redo that whole series. And the reason being because I think it's a good little, how should you probably say, kind of bookmark within the video history on how my Blender skills of ship building is improving, because this would be the third iteration of the Enterprise J, because we had my earliest videos was the first Enterprise J, or actually I don't think I did videos on those. I'm trying to remember if I did or not. No, I don't think I did. But you see my first iteration of the Enterprise J, and then you'll see another iteration of the Enterprise J, and then you'll see a third, which will be the newer one. But this newer one, it's not going to be the official Enterprise J anymore, because I feel like that is now been retcon to a certain degree, because the person that originally designed the Enterprise J has released that model. We've seen quote unquote high res models of that ship all around, and it looks very, very close to what I have, except for, well, the underside's completely different. The top, we've all had that picture, so I was able to view that. So it doesn't really seem fitting for me to say it's the reconstruction of the Enterprise J and me trying to come up with the design of the Enterprise J based on video footage and using that and try to, try to, you know, with like a crime scene investigator trying to figure out what the rest of the ship looks like. Instead, it's just going to be strictly just my take of the Enterprise J with what is seen, rather than me trying to come up with a mechanical version of it. So, with that being said, though, because it's my version of it, I can have a little bit more freedom on what I want it to look like to a certain degree. I'm still going to use the on-screen evidence, aka the part of the ship that Archer sees out the window, and the Lakar screen that we see in the background as the reference points, like I've always been doing. But I'm not going to call it the Enterprise J. It'll just be kind of, B-Bell Dan's Enterprise J interpretation. But be looking forward to that. But let me try to get some other projects out of the way. Back to the screen, as you can see here, I have one of those mesh details, and what I've done is I did a Control R, and I scrolled the mouse wheel several times to create several different new edges within the model, therefore separating more faces. And now what I did is I selected all of those faces, and right now I am scaling them. But when I scale them, I want to scale individual faces, not all together, because if I do, it scales it all together, keeping all the edges together. Scaling individual faces will scale, one block separate from another block, separate from another block. So I scale it to where I have a decent amount of space between one new face to the other new face. Then what I do is I go ahead and I scale it back along the z-axis by make sure it's the z-axis on the normals. not in relation to the world or to the origin, but to where the normal is facing, and that allows it to scale along the face. So I'm taking a look to see how it looks, and I'm actually happy with the way that looks after I've taken those faces that I just scaled and extruded them along a certain axis. And so, yeah, I'm going to continue doing that with the other vent pieces. I can't, like this one right here. So that's what I have planned coming forward. So, brief summary, D7's coming back, the Akira class is coming back, and the Enterprise J will come back, but as a brand new series. But that's going to probably be much later, as will the Star Wars scene. Will be coming back a little bit later because because I've already started a bunch of stuff that I want to try to finish. So let me get those finished first. Then we'll come back and revisit those other scenes later. Plus, also, I have a couple of other ideas, such as a lot of y'all have requested. I've received many requests in the comments of doing a Enterprise D tutorial. And so y'all have asked. I'm probably looking forward to doing that. But when I do that episode, it's going to be not situated like this to where it's kind of a free-flowing part 1, part 2, part 3, where I just start the episode, see how much I can get, and then in the episode it's going to be more specific to where episode 1 is laying out your basic mesh. Part 2 is going to be, you know, honing the mesh to the final shape. Part 3 is going to be, you know, details. Part 4, each part is going to be actually focusing on certain aspects of the ship itself. So it'd be more tutorial based. So be looking forward to that. Now, as you can see on screen, and I know I'm jumping back and forth, I hope I'm not confusing y'all too much, but I'm trying to do an effect on this piece right here, which was similar to what I did with the previous vent piece that we saw earlier, but because this one it's kind of bent in a shallow angle, but because of that bend in the face, it has an extra edge there, which is throwing. I can't scale them, by individual faces, because then instead of one long face going along that, left to right on the screen as you just saw there, it's going to be, several smaller pieces. Like right there, you can see going from left to right on the screen, that one piece, I can't scale that all in one piece using individual faces. And if I select all of them, it's going to, all the edges that are touching are going to be touching to each other, and it's all going to scale like it's one big face. So I'm going to try something else here that you're going to see here. So I'm selecting just every other, and I'm going to, if I remember correctly, I'm going to extrude this down just to see how this looks. And it's not fitting to what is seen on models or on television or even in the picture, but I just wanted to kind of experiment to see how this looks. But I'll probably still go back and in the next episode try it with a more traditional way just to see how that looks. But yeah, that's what we got coming down the pipeline. Plus also I have my other, some of y'all are watching the 3D programs, but I also have another whole other series where I'm building puppets and things, which I've kind of just fell into. So I got those coming. Right here, I decided I'm going to go ahead, and if it's a Klingon ship, I'm going to go ahead and color it to give it a slight green color. I know it's not really, the actual color of the ship. I don't have that available right now or at the time I did this episode. Next episode, it'll probably be more like the color of the actual D7, the Klingon green ship that we see. But I'm wanting to color it so we can color the vents a different color and see that contrast when I do the render. So just applying that color through all of those, selecting them, and then I'll go ahead and select the vents and apply that with a different material. And then I'll also do the windows because I want to see what the windows look like. If they're, more white and emitting color and everything like that. And I'll switch this eventually to blender cycles when we start getting all the, the windows emitting lights and all the, other lights and stuff in the scene, and we do a render of it. It'll look a lot better. I want to try to get this detailed down to a certain degree, and I know that's going to cause a lot of work. I need to put some more edges and subdivision and smoothing on even the body of the ship, but that's all coming pretty soon. Uh, but yeah, that just wanted to kind of let y'all know what's going on, and so now y'all see that I do have the model back. So if this was something that y'all were wanting on, y'all were wanting to hopefully see it to continuation or to fruitation, finish. We'll just say finish. To finish, then you're in luck because it's actually going to be happening. Same thing with the Akira. If you were looking forward to like the Franklin, and the Enterprise J, the last iteration of the Enterprise J, those I'm going to put on the back burner, or they're just probably not going to see those too much, as well as maybe the Minecraft one. Maybe. I mean, we'll see. I know there's been a couple of updates, so I'll see what there's in the updates. If there's anything in the updates that makes me want to jump back in and continue working on the ships in Minecraft, I might do that as well. We'll see. I'll take a look at it. I know there's a lot of quite interesting stuff put in there because I have kids and my wife still plays it, but I haven't played Minecraft in a long time. Um, but yeah, the D7 looks like it's coming along nicely. I say it looks just like a D7 ship from the series. Hopefully, y'all probably think that as well. And with that, I think we're going to go ahead and call the episode. I think this is about close where I've actually called it when I was filming the episode. So let me know what y'all think. Y'all excited to see the D7 back? Do y'all want me to drop it in place of something else, or would y'all like to see something entirely different? Y'all looking forward to the Enterprise D tutorial? Let me know. Other than that, this is B Belt Dan. I just want to say thank you for watching. Oh, I was trying to time this on the output of the video. It helps if I maybe scroll this down to see how much time. Okay. Yeah, I was a little bit premature on that. But you know what? We could stop it whenever we want. So yeah, let me go ahead and stop that now. So once again, this is B Belt Dan. This is the D7 build through, walk through tutorial in Blender. And I want to say thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next episode.